That's it! The fairytale Iron Maiden fans have all been living in for the past 2 years is over. And with the end of the Future Past tour comes a rather bittersweet feeling.
Is it? So the next stop is...
So today, let's do a wrap-up and take a look at some interesting facts which make Iron Maiden's latest tour truly extraordinary, discuss some mind-blowing statistics, and then discuss what this tour may mean for the band in the future. Here you go. The Future Past tour became the tour of the firsts and the lasts. Let's start with the latter. Although most of us will forever remember it as a tour which has finally given justice to the band's overlooked before it Somewhere in Time album, it was equally as much of a Senjutsu tour as it was a retrospective 1986 run. At least musically, on which Iron Maiden played live 4 never-before-performed tracks from their latest studio record, those being Days of Future Past, Death of the Celts, The Time Machine, and Hell on Earth. But nevertheless, all in all, this tour marked the end of a Senjutsu era for Iron Maiden, as it no longer is a new Iron Maiden album which the band goes out on the road to promote, but just the latest one. Which, knowing the band's album life cycle, we all know we're entering a new age for the band, which by all canons, if God allows, should culminate with yet another new record. Hopefully within the next couple of years.
Nice!
And at the same time, it of course became the first tour since the original Somewhere on Tour, which has finally given justice to Iron Maiden's most overlooked 1980s album by the band. In fact, I'd actually argue that it has given more attention to Somewhere in Time than the original tour in support of it, during which Iron Maiden have famously dropped some of its songs from the setlist, finishing with only 4 biggest tracks in it by 1987. Yet the biggest prize of all those 5 tracks was of course the legendary Alexander the Great, which the band has finally given up and performed live in front of their loyal fans. And this is still something that amazes me today, almost 2 years since it first happened. As the truth is that Alexander the Great has always been the track which thousands of boys and girls around the globe simply dreamt of hearing live, and imagined for years what it would be like to finally take that history lesson from Bruce Dickinson himself. And the whole fact that we were finally able to enjoy it almost 30 years after it was originally released is simply a blessing for all Iron Maiden diehard fans. In addition, the Future Past tour is most likely the last of the band's famous remakes of their 1980s tours, closing the chapter of retrospective runs, as the truth is that even the band's upcoming Run For Your Lives world tour won't exactly be a remake of anything, but rather a celebration of their golden era. And the truth is that there is actually a very, very high chance that some of the above-mentioned songs, including the legendary Alexander the Great, were actually performed during the Future Past tour not only for the first, but also for the very last time ever. But the most bittersweet of all feelings brought by this tour was of course the realization that it will be Nicko McBrain's final tour with Iron Maiden. Following his health scare in 2023, Nicko's resilience and determination to finish the Future Past tour were nothing short of heroic. And I know that much has already been said about this on this channel before, so I'm not gonna go into the details of it, but I just want to point out that together with Nicko, who is of course not really leaving the band but just ending his live touring career with Iron Maiden, goes the entire era of Iron Maiden. The era of an incredible journey to the Olymp of heavy metal, which of course makes the end of the Future Past tour possibly the most bittersweet ones in the band's entire career. By the way guys, real quick, just wanted to point out that only around 30% of the people who watch my videos are actually subscribed to the Metal Pilgrim channel. So if by any chance you still haven't done so, and especially if this is not the first Up the Irons series video you're watching on the show, I would really appreciate it if you would consider doing it right now. Let's continue building this amazing heavy metal community together.
Another thing.
But the craziest thing is that despite the whole fact that the Future Past tour was a tour of deep cuts, and in all honesty was a tour for die-hard Iron Maiden fans, it was actually able to do something which most skeptics did not expect it to do. Become a huge success worldwide.
Great success.
Now, thanks to the touring data website, we actually get the official box office numbers for the band's 2023 leg of the Future Past tour. And according to it, the reported tickets sold were over 432,000 tickets, with a reported revenue well over $40 million. Which, if you think about it, is just mind-blowing numbers for the band in its 48th year of existence. But the craziest thing is that these numbers for 2023 only include the band's solo dates, so not taking into account the band's appearance at the massive Wacken Open Air and Power Trip festivals, which we all know just the two of those would add up to well over 100,000 people. And now, as of right now, we still don't have any official statistics about the Future Past tour attendance in 2024, but I was actually able to do a little bit of estimation. By taking each of the venues Iron Maiden performed at in 2024 and its capacity, and assuming an average attendance of, let's say, 90%, which, I don't know, in some cases might be a little bit of exaggeration, and in others is definitely a low blow, since we all know that some of the dates in Latin America were sold out in a matter of hours. But if we just take that as a base, that would mean that more than 1 million people saw Iron Maiden live in 2024. 1 million people!
Imagine all the people.
Which, if we combine it with the numbers of 2023, will once again show that Iron Maiden fanbase is one of the most loyal and die-hard fanbases out there in heavy metal overall. And even when the band performs its deep cuts and the songs from the albums which are not considered iconic by the mainstream audiences, Iron Maiden fans will still get crazy about any of those songs being performed live. From its very announcement, it was rather clear that the Future Past tour would be a tour like no other before in the Iron Maiden history. And most likely there will now be another tour like this one. From the very first show in Ljubljana in 2023, we were all discussing about how incredible was the energy and the atmosphere on stage, which I guess now we all understand why it was so, and why, despite the enormous hardships, Nicko McBrain was able to pull through and give his best at this legendary tour, for which we once again are all very thankful to the legendary Nicko. But nevertheless, despite all the speculations, the Future Past tour is not the end of Iron Maiden. Quite the opposite. It became an end of a chapter and opened yet another new chapter of the legendary heavy metal band. And I mentioned before about an Iron Maiden album life cycle. So if we take a look at it and take a look at the band's announcements of the past couple of months, I think it would actually be rather fair to assume that in 2025 and 2026, Iron Maiden will solely concentrate on celebrating their 50th anniversary. First taking their Run For Your Lives tour to Europe and then most likely making it a truly world run. But given the whole fact that we all know that Iron Maiden are kind of thinking in blocks of at least 5 years in advance, they always have, and most likely they will do this until the very end, and compared the position of the Future Past tour to the previous retrospective runs done by this band, I think it would be rather fair to assume that in the next couple of years Iron Maiden will actually, in addition to going around the world with their Run For Your Lives tour, concentrate on writing new material, which, once again, if God allows, we might hear of sometime within the next 2 to 3 years. And this, my friends, is a rather encouraging thought. But anyways, what do you guys personally think about the Future Past tour, and were you able to attend any of the shows during the past 2 years? Please let us know in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching the short video, guys, and more than anything, thank you so much for supporting me, this show in Ukraine, through this very difficult time. We will prevail. Slava Ukraini!